So how is it that you can know what to do, but then not be able to do it? Like, have you ever given someone else advice, but then it's like when you comes time to follow your own advice, you're like, I can't do this. Like, how do I do this? But why is it so easy to give other people advice? It's like so clear, right? So have you ever looked at someone else's business and thought, you know what? They really need to raise their prices. They've got a great program. I love what they do. I experiment. I got to pay a whole lot more than I did. But when it comes to looking at your own program and your own prices and your own value, something just seems to shut down. So what is going on with that? Why is it easier for us to see the benefit of other people and just not see it for ourselves? Like, that is like a big deal that so many people just have difficulty with. So we're going to be talking about why that is in this video. So if you don't know me, hi, I'm Debbie Pearson. I work with women entrepreneurs who know what to do, but still find themselves overthinking, second guessing, pulling back when things get a little tense, right? You got self-trust, you got confidence, except certain times. What is that about? So last week we talked about recognizing when that thing takes over. What is that thing? It's like everything's going along fine, and then all of a sudden somebody says something like, well, what do you do? Or tell me about your business or something, and you just kind of like choke up. What is that? So we're gonna be talking about that in this video. So one of the biggest questions that I do here is, why do I stop doing things that I already know how to do, right? So when pressure shows up, we stop doing things because something else takes over. Something else begins making those decisions for us. It sounds weird because we are us and we're making the decision, but it's almost like we don't have the control. Something else seems to have taken control. So let's talk about what usually happens. Most people begin to blame themselves, or they begin to think, I must need more discipline or more confidence. Maybe I'm just procrastinating. So, why do I feel this way? Because there is a feeling about it. There is a sensation, a way where you're like, what happened? Why did I feel so confident like yesterday, but today I just can't remember the words. It's like my mind goes blank or it freezes. So exhausting, right? Sometimes we go, I must need another course or another certification or more training, right? And sometimes we do. It depends on what you've had in the past, obviously. But more often than not, we just haven't learned the right training. And we have a tendency to see another way of doing something. We get excited, we sign up for it, and we finish it, and we know so much more, and then we're right back where we started. When it's time to market ourselves or the program, we choke up, right? So it's understandable that these things happen because we think this other thing is the solution, but we're going to be talking more about what an actual solution is going to look like, all right? So let me get a little piece of paper, show you something here. So let's talk about things that you know, right? So I'm just going to make a circle, hoping you can see this. Okay. All right, things you know. What are things you know? You know skills. You have experience, right? You do want, I lost it. Okay, you do have wisdom. You've been through a lot. And you've taken, let's be clear about this. You have a lot already in you. You've got skills where you can write posts, you can go to networking, you can do marketing, you can set boundaries, you can launch programs. All these things can happen, right? Your knowledge is there. It's actually there. So what changes? Well, if the knowledge is there, why don't we use it? At those times, something else begins to make decisions for us. So I'm going to make a little cloud here, and this cloud is going to be called the stress and pressure cloud. And when we go under stress or pressure, things that show up for us are things like fear, self-doubt, right? Wanting approval, not wanting rejection, things like this. We want to avoid those things. So all of these right here, I would consider them to be protective patterns or examples of them, right? These aren't the only things that make the protective patterns show up, right? But they all have one thing in common. These things show up and your protective patterns start making the decisions for you instead of letting you make the decision for yourself, right? So let's look at it like this. You know these things. They don't actually disappear when these things show up. They're still there, right? But it's kind of like they're hard to get to, right? It's like the access to these things, those skills you know, that experience you know, they're just very difficult to get to until you learn how to get to them. So if you've ever thought about things like, I should post today, but then you start feeling discomfort, self-doubt, right? Or what if nobody responds? Oh my gosh, or what if a family member sees it? Then there's other feelings like possibly ridicule or judgment, right? Or what if people think I'm ridiculous? And then maybe there's some sort of feeling of like shame or something like that that shows up. So whether it's doubt or fear or shame, worrying about what other people might think, those feelings aren't trying to make your life more difficult, but they're trying to protect you from something that feels emotionally unsafe. That's the key. That's why we get choked up. We feel emotionally unsafe, right? So what we're doing is we stop doing what we already know because this other thing takes over and starts making those decisions for us. Let's look a little bit about what that means. Let's say that fear shows up and it stops you from putting yourself out there. That fear is saying, like, you cannot get to this. You cannot get to these skills that you learned in that last training or that certification, because if you do, then we might get exposed. We might get ridiculed. We might get something. So fear comes here and says, I'm not going to allow you access to this. It's actually a protection, unfortunately, but that is what it is. There are ways to get past that, right? So what can you do? First, you can start by, instead of saying, well, what's wrong with me? Or why can't I just do it? Or I should have more discipline or confidence or whatever. Start looking at it from a different perspective and think, what is making the decision right now? What's making this decision for me? Is it fear, shame, self-doubt? Like, what is actually the thing that's making the decision for me? That one question can really help begin to shift you from like self-criticism into something more like a deeper self-awareness. That's what we want to do. And not just awareness, but self-knowing. We want to get to know ourselves beyond just being aware of the situation, right? Because yes, awareness is step one, but there's other steps. Okay? So here's the thing. You probably don't get stuck because you don't know enough. I believe that you probably are knowledge centric. You've got tons of knowledge, but it's all like intellectual knowledge, right? You're probably stuck because no one's really ever taught you the skills that you need to of what to do when you lose access, when these things go. You can't have access to this knowledge. You can't have access to your skills. You can't have access to your experience or your wisdom. No. That's dangerous. Perceived danger, but dangerous nonetheless. So I created a course called When You Know What to Do, but Still Can't Do It. It's a 6-week course. We talk all about this and how to begin moving past all of this. And I invite you to join us. Over the 6 weeks, we'll look at what happens when pressure hits, why it becomes harder to access what you already know, and how to practice, this is the key, practice and consistency and becoming more steady, being able to make those choices based on not the emotional fear that comes up, but becoming more and more comfortable with that that challenge of like the fear shows up, we immediately block. How do we make that less and less challenging and make it more accessible to us? We do this in the 6-week course, right? And the course, it's got a really long name, and it's called, like I said, when you know what to do but still can't do it. We just call it the course, okay? But that's what it is. It's basically when you know what to do, but you can't seem to get yourself to do it. Okay, so let's see. With the 6 week, you'll begin to building the missing skills, because there are skills that are missing. You know what to do, you want to do it, but you can't, right? So that space in between, I know what to do, but I can't seem to do it. That space is called a gap. This 6-week course is about how do you fill that gap? How do you go from here over to here? And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that's how we do it. Okay? All right. To find out more details about it, go to the description box, click the link. Because remember, you don't stop doing what you know because you forget it, because you don't forget it. You stop doing what you know because something else took over. Let's learn to get rid of that something else. All right? Have a great day. See you next week. Bye.